The current political landscape in America has taken on the texture of a grand, high-stakes drama interwoven with legal battles, economic debates, and cultural commentary that rarely leaves any observer unmoved. Over 91 million Americans once voted for Donald Trump, a number that speaks not only to his undeniable impact on the electorate, but also to the deep divisions and unresolved hopes that still resonate across the country. Yet as the calendar turned toward the end of 2024, Trump found himself facing over 30 lawsuits, staring down charges that span from financial fraud and tax evasion to accusations of inciting a riot. These legal entanglements have raised a question that seems to echo through every corner of this divided nation. How is it that millions continue to believe in a figure so mired in controversy and contradiction? In an unflinching commentary that merges both biting critique and passionate rhetoric, veteran filmmaker Michael Moore once declared on live air, "How could it be a proud day when a man who was not elected by the people becomes president of the United States?" His words, cutting through years of mainstream media silence like a razor's edge, sought to reveal a side of the national narrative that many ordinary Americans found refreshingly honest. Moore's declaration was far more than a mere expression of discontent. It was a dismantling of the carefully constructed glamour that had long shielded Trump from the harsh realities of his own actions. The everyday American, according to Moore, yearns to hear truths that resonate with their own lived experiences, not the sanitized versions amplified by an often indifferent media. "We are immigrants," Moore stated emphatically. "We are all the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of immigrants," a plea to recognize that behind every divisive political tactic lies an America built on the shared legacy of migration and hope. This reminder struck at the heart of an anti-immigrant narrative that Trump had repeatedly employed throughout his campaigns. A 2023 Pew Research survey highlighted that 78% of immigrants in the United States felt directly offended by Trump's comments on the border, underscoring a disconnect between a significant portion of the population and the populist rhetoric that Trump championed. Yet despite these misgivings, millions remain steadfast, viewing Trump as the embodiment of a radical change they so desperately needed. It is an irony that even as Trump's policies and personality have drawn scrutiny for their divisiveness and alleged incompetence, his rallies still manage to energize the crowd in ways that suggest a kind of cathartic connection, a connection that, some say, verges on the theatrical. Critics and supporters alike have noted that Trump's behavior under pressure mirrors that of a performance artist, adept at manipulating public sentiment with carefully rehearsed lines. Gallup polls have revealed that 71% of Americans believe Trump never takes personal responsibility, a staggering statistic that marks the highest such percentage for any post-term U.S. president. This systemic refusal to own mistakes feeds into a broader narrative of unrestrained capitalism, a belief that one can act without consequence, even if doing so leaves others to bear the fallout. As one analyst wryly noted, if failure were profitable, Trump might well be the richest man alive. His financial ventures, including the notorious bankruptcies of Trump Plaza Hotel, Trump Taj Mahal, and Trump Airlines, serve as stark evidence of a repeated pattern of miscalculation and manipulation, rather than genuine business acumen. Forbes' description of Trump as a business genius is a label that some observers now regard with a mix of disbelief and ironic amusement. Critics argue that this so-called genius is less about innovative entrepreneurship and more about exploiting a system that, in many ways, has already been rigged to favor such flamboyant displays of hubris. Moore's own reflections on this phenomenon bring us closer to the truth. By using the system to continue performing, Trump has not so much reformed his ways as he has, in Michael Moore's summing up, outsmarted us all. One cannot help but see the tragicomic dimensions in this scenario. It is as if the drama unfolding on our national stage were a carefully choreographed, slow-motion car crash, one in which the audience cannot look away even as they cry out in both despair and reluctant laughter. Amid these heavy themes of legal strife and moral reckoning, a burst of laughter and irreverence from the world of late-night comedy has added its own chapter to this sprawling saga. Bill Maher recently ignited social media with a series of punchlines aimed squarely at the Trump family and outspoken political figures like Laura Loomer. In a segment that quickly garnered over 5 million views, Maher read aloud a list entitled 22 Rules for Dating, purportedly scrawled by the ex-girlfriend of a used car owner. The list, replete with drill sergeant-esque instructions, such as never saving a girl's number and replying to texts within 10 minutes, quickly became a rhetorical weapon. Maher went on to twist these rules, suggesting that they might well be the unspoken manual by which Melania Trump regulates her relationship with her husband, an illustration of how even the most mundane elements of private life have been co-opted into the grand spectacle that is American politics. The humor in Maher's routine, however, was not empty mockery. It served as a pointed commentary on a modern phenomenon where personal identity and political allegiance blur into one confusing narrative. Melania Trump, in all her stoic silence, became an unexpected symbol within this narrative, a figure representing the cold distance that has come to define not just a marriage, but a broader political culture. Maher's caricature of Melania, suggesting that her mere presence turns public appearances into invisible hostage situations, resonated deeply with many viewers. It is a reminder that the absurdity of the Trump era is not confined to policy debates or legal battles, but seeps into every corner of everyday life. And if you're finding these explorations as compelling as we are, consider subscribing to our channel and sharing your thoughts through likes and comments. Your engagement helps keep these crucial conversations alive. The events do not stop at provocative commentary and comedic jabs. The narrative of Trump's influence weaves through the corridors of business, politics, and even the world of social media. According to records, in 2024 alone, Trump faced 91 criminal charges, including campaign abuse, tax fraud, obstructing federal investigations, and inciting the violent events of January 6th. Yet despite this overwhelming list of allegations, he persists. The vibrant rallies that dot his public schedule, packed to the gills with fervent supporters, offer a glimpse into a phenomenon where political performance merges with personal mythology. One observer might quip, with a wry smile, that if Trump's career were a reality TV show, it would be the longest-running series ever produced, complete with plot twists that defy logic and punchlines that land like stray tweets. The saga extends beyond the confines of political rallies and legal briefs. A separate yet equally alarming dimension of Trump's legacy concerns the economic realm, a realm that has seen the government lose over $500 billion in tax revenue due to policies and maneuvers that appear, at times, more reminiscent of a high-stakes gamble than measured fiscal management. Allegations have surfaced that the Trump administration not only manipulated economic data by purging the Technical Advisory Board at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but also slashed funding for the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, the very agency tasked with ensuring that corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. The result has been a stark disparity where ordinary taxpayers shoulder the full burden of fiscal obligations, while the wealthy maneuver around them with impunity. Further compounding these economic challenges is the alarming manipulation of market realities. Trump's involvement in the cryptocurrency sphere, most notably his promotion of a meme coin called Trump P, has been described by analysts as a textbook pump and dump move. By leveraging his personal influence to hype the coin, only to then sell off his holdings at the peak of investor enthusiasm, he left thousands of small investors holding the proverbial bag. Such episodes underscore a broader crisis: the manipulation of market psychology for personal gain, a strategy that not only destabilizes economic confidence, but also erodes trust in the systems meant to safeguard it. Yet perhaps the most disconcerting of these maneuvers revolves around allegations that personal tax data was misused to target legal residents. Reports indicate that the Trump administration ordered the IRS to share tax records of legal immigrants with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a policy resulting in over 500,000 individuals with valid residency status facing the real threat of deportation. Among those caught in this net is Andreas, a Venezuelan barber who, despite applying for asylum with all the proper documentation, was abruptly abducted and sent to a detention facility in El Salvador, mere days before his court date. His story, shrouded in a haze of legal technicalities and bureaucratic indifference, stands as a tragic testament to how data manipulation can transform into a tool for undermining the very human lives that embody America's diversity. It is in these turbulent times that some of the most ironic humor arises, with cultural commentators and late-night comedians alike using their platforms to underscore the bizarre contradictions inherent in Trump's world. Chris Rock, for example, turned his attention to the former president's most notorious missteps, from his extravagant bankruptcies, which when listed read like a greatest hits album of failed business ventures, to his infamous suggestion of injecting disinfectant to combat health crises. Rock's performance, which swiftly amassed over 5 million views and set social media abuzz, drew comparisons between Trump's erratic public persona and the surreal absurdity one might expect from a Saturday Night Live sketch. One might even jest that if Trump's business ventures were a stand-up routine, the punchline would be delivered with the same bewildered intensity as his reaction to any form of criticism. Adding yet another layer to this multifaceted narrative, Rock's comedy also touched on the peculiarly theatrical dynamics of Trump's public appearances. With a series of zingers, he recalled moments when Trump altered a hurricane map with a Sharpie in 2019, or when he seemingly fixated on a solar eclipse in 2017. Incidents that not only spiked Google searches by 300%, but also came to symbolize the unorthodox eccentricities of his leadership style. In one particularly memorable exchange, Rock both lampooned and lamented that if you're going to put someone on a rocket ship, at least make sure they're not running for president. Such offhand humor, delivered with a sly grin and a knowing wink, managed to capture the attention of an audience that was as ready to laugh as it was to question the underlying truths of this political theater. The resonance of these moments, however, goes far beyond mere entertainment. They function as both historical documentation and as social commentary, reflecting deep-seated frustrations and the surreal reality in which serious political issues blend seamlessly with comedic absurdity. And while Trump's supporters might dismiss some of these jabs as simplistic mockery, the broader analysis suggests that these moments of humor are in fact a kind of honest mirror, one that reflects a society grappling with its own contradictions, where economic mismanagement, legal improprieties, and cultural dissonance are laid bare for all to see. Even as these dramatic events unfold on the national stage, a more subtle but equally concerning shift is taking place within the fabric of American political discourse. The same administration that has been accused of manipulating data for economic gain has also been blamed for removing independent experts from the very agencies that provide checks and balances on public information. The firing of the entire Technical Advisory Board at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a move Politico famously dubbed a data purge, has left many scholars and analysts alarmed about the long-term consequences for transparency and accountability. Without the impartial evaluation of seasoned experts, the quality of economic reporting is at risk, leaving the public vulnerable to distortions that only serve to further deepen the crisis of confidence. This crisis of confidence is palpable on multiple fronts. On one hand, consumer prices and unemployment statistics are being manipulated to create an illusion of prosperity, even as everyday living costs continue to skyrocket. Rent prices in major cities have climbed by an average of 12%, and small businesses, particularly across the Midwest, are closing at rates of 20 to 25%. It is a disconnect that speaks volumes about the reliability or deliberate unreliability of the information presented to the American public. At a time when trust in institutional accuracy is paramount, such a breakdown in the chain of reliable data not only undermines economic stability, but also erodes the foundation of democratic accountability itself. Throughout this escalating saga, one cannot help but notice the uncanny ability of certain public figures to capitalize on the chaos. Trump's persistent use of social media, particularly platforms like Truth Social, allows him to continue influencing investor psychology and public sentiment, even as he faces serious legal charges. A particularly notable instance was his self-promotional post declaring, "I love Trumpy. It's the greatest coin of all," a statement that sent the meme coin DJT soaring before inevitably plummeting, leaving countless small investors in dismay. This pattern of hyping and dumping not only highlights the volatile mix of celebrity and finance, but also raises profound questions about the vulnerabilities of modern market dynamics when swayed by personal influence. Amid all of this, one must ask, what does it say about our society when the perpetuation of a political figure is sustained by both adoration and relentless scrutiny, by humor and by harsh economic realities. When credit card companies and economists alike are forced to reconcile the legacy of bankruptcies alongside the spectacle of viral memes, we are left to wonder whether the truth, in all its complexity, has become just another form of entertainment. And while some might laugh at the absurdity of it all, joking that if Trump had a cent for every bankruptcy, he might finally bankrupt the concept of bankruptcy itself, we are reminded that behind every joke lies a kernel of truth that cannot so easily be dismissed. In light of these troubling developments, it is crucial for all of us, whether we are avid followers of political theater or analytical observers of economic policy, to step back and consider the broader implications. The narrative unfolding is not merely a series of isolated controversies. Rather, it represents a comprehensive redefinition of what it means to govern, to manage an economy, and to engage in the public sphere in a time when every data point can be questioned and every claim is subject to scrutiny. The question remains, how can we restore confidence when the very metrics we rely on have been diluted by political expediency and media manipulation? What do you, the viewer, believe about the accountability of power in these turbulent times? Your insights and reflections are invaluable. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. As we continue to track these developments, it is important to remain engaged and informed, even as the spectacle grows more convoluted. Amid the legal challenges, the economic manipulations, and the cultural theatrics, there is a persistent demand for clarity, a call for a return to the principles of transparency and accountability that once underpinned public discourse in this nation. And while the drama might at times be punctuated by ironic jabs, think of the recurring quip that they're going to put him on a rocket ship and call it Space Max, or the wry observation that J-Lo's going to marry Ben again just so she can stay in the country. These humorous interludes serve not only to lighten the mood, but also to remind us that even in the face of such overwhelming complexity, the American public remains resilient, ever ready to question and critique the powers that be. Looking ahead, the unfolding political and economic scenarios call for a measured, analytical approach that neither ignores the emotional weight of these events nor succumbs to the sensationalism that has for too long dominated our national dialogue. It is a time for sober reflection, for detailed examination of how policies are crafted and data is manipulated, and for a renewed commitment to the principles of open debate and rigorous accountability. The specter of mismanagement looms large over everything from tax law amendments to the very methods by which economic data is reported, and each incident only reinforces the need for vigilance in the face of an increasingly opaque political machine. In moments like these, when the fusion of politics, economics, and media creates a veritable maelstrom of information and misinformation, it is vital that we, as an engaged citizenry, refuse to take things at face value. As we continue to unravel this complex tapestry, remember that your voice matters. Your opinions, critiques, and insights contribute to a larger conversation that shapes the future of governance and public policy. If you find these deep dives into political and economic intricacies both informative and thought-provoking, do consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the like button. Your engagement not only fuels these discussions, but also ensures that the search for truth continues unabated. In the end, what we witness is a breathtaking spectacle in which legal battles, personal narratives, market manipulations, and cultural commentaries intersect in ways that are as alarming as they are unforgettable. The days when a president could simply fade into the background have long since passed. Now every misstep, every controversial statement, and every policy reversal is amplified for public consumption. As we strive to understand the forces that have propelled this unprecedented chapter in American history, we are reminded that the issues at hand are not simply matters of political theater. They are reflections of a society grappling with its own limits and contradictions. This ongoing saga, punctuated by moments of laughter, outrage, and disbelief, challenges us all to consider the cost of a system that seems more adept at manipulating data and emotions than at serving the common good. It compels us to ask whether the price of such manipulation is the erosion of truth and trust, foundational pillars upon which any healthy democracy must stand. And so, as the legal battles continue, as economic policies are rewritten before our very eyes, And as late-night comedians deliver punchlines that resonate with unexpected clarity, we are left with a choice. Do we allow ourselves to be swept along by a tide of spectacle and irony? Or do we step back, read between the lines, and demand accountability from those who wield power? There is no simple answer, and indeed, the process of understanding this intricate interplay of forces may be as challenging as it is necessary. Yet one thing is certain. In a time when the news itself has become a kind of performance art, where every scandal is a script and every policy a plot twist, our role as citizens is to question, to analyze, and ultimately to demand a future in which transparency and accountability are more than mere buzzwords. So, we invite you to join us in this journey of investigation and insight. What are your thoughts on how these layers of political, economic, and cultural maneuvers are shaping our society? Share your opinions in the comments below. Let the conversation continue. In a nation defined by both its triumphs and its trials, it is the duty of every informed citizen to remain steadfast in the search for truth and justice, even when that truth is obscured by spectacle, manipulation, and relentless controversy. As we navigate this labyrinth of legal disputes, economic crises, and viral social media moments, one cannot help but reflect on the enduring resilience of the American spirit. A spirit that, despite overwhelming odds and the constant barrage of disinformation, refuses to be silenced or misled. The story of Donald Trump, with all its absurdities and gravities, is not merely a chronicle of one man's rise and fall. It is a parable of our times, a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, and a call to action for all those who believe in the importance of accountability, integrity, and hope. So as we draw this extensive exploration to a close, let us not forget that even in the midst of chaos and comedy, there lies a profound opportunity for reform and enlightenment. The battle for truth in America, a battle that has now become both a legal and cultural crucible, is far from over. And while the twists and turns of this saga may occasionally offer us moments to laugh in ironic disbelief, they also compel us to confront uncomfortable realities about our economic policies, our political institutions, and the very fabric of our communal life. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and as always, your voice remains essential in this evolving dialogue.